the next one would be the interesting segment into the leadership impact in an AI world. I have been teasing about having the fourth idiot in the house, Mr. Chatur. He will be there for some entertainment. But prior to that, we are going to be having some amazing conversation about sustainability. And guess what? At 4:30 p.m. as well, we are going to have a VC panel upstairs, which I'll be sharing more details later on. But for now, well, I'm going to introduce someone who really needs no introduction. Those who have been in this arena for long, some of them, we call her the Rocket Queen. Reason being, when the Mars rover did go and safely landed, she was the CIO of NASA JPL, and her team was responsible to provide all the tech support and all the tech leadership that made it happen. Not only that, she used to be the CTO of the city of LA, and did she dare to introduce Gmail to the city of LA? Wow. And some of them were really looking at her and they're, how dare you? How dare you? What is cloud? We are gonna have some amazing trouble, and then the entire city will be like kind of scrutinized. But guess what? She is a force of nature. And one time, one of the gentlemen did dare to go and ask, can you get me a coffee? She just turned back and said, why don't you get me one? And that's for you, ladies and gentlemen, Randi Levin, who is currently the advisor to the executive team at White House, and whatever she has been doing, educating the leaders, what's gonna happen next, whether it's NASA JPL, whether it's the city of LA. I'm very, very proud to have her on the stage and show as to what is the true leadership impact in an AI world. So without further ado, I present to you Randi Levin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. This has been a great conference. Everybody that's been speaking up here are rock stars. So it's incredible. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about leadership now and what that looks like, because AI is in every other sentence right now. Everybody's thinking about it. So I'm going to take you through these are my thoughts on how I think the industry is looking at leadership, and what did leadership look like before AI, and what does leadership look like now? And is it any different? And what do we need to be doing? So there I am. Okay. Rapid AI advancement is reshaping industries, and core leadership principles remain vital. So we still need to be managing, we still need to be leading, and there really should be not much change in terms of how our leadership is. But I am going to talk about what's different here. So today's technology leaders, all right? We've got every technology organization still needs leaders and managers. And there's a difference between a leader and a manager. Every technology organization needs great staff to carry out their mission. So with AI, you still need great staff. That's not any different. The market, many of you know, continues to struggle finding the resources that we need to be able to make sure that our companies and our organizations can fulfill the AI mission. And as you know, hiring is more difficult because of availability and salary requirements. So again, we've seen this, hot skill things before. And I'm going to bring up the whole topic of diversity, because diversity in our teams is still important, and it's really important in the world of AI. Okay. We have seen this before in technology. This isn't the first time we've had a major disruptive set of technologies. So when have we seen this before? When consumerization of IT was adopted. When somebody walked into their office years ago and said, look, I can get all this on my phone. How come you can't deliver it in my company right on my phone? And it's so easy to use. And we went through that. Some of you remember it, some of you don't remember it, but we did go through that, and there was a whole period where there was a big debate. Can we actually even use an iPhone at work? Can we use, can we use consumer devices at home? And why is it so hard when I go to work and I have to go through 50 applications to get something that I need the answer to? So there are some things here that are different, and I would like to go through them with you. I'm going to come over here. I got new glasses yesterday, so they're a little funky. So pre-AI, we were really focused on digital transformation. How do we make our organizations as efficient as possible? Well, now, and I said pre-AI, I'm putting 2020 to 2023, roughly, somewhere in there, even though AI has been going on for a long time. AI at NASA has been going on for years. It just wasn't Chat GPT and all of that. But now we're focusing on AI. We're not just focusing on digital transformation. We're not saying we're not doing digital transformation. We're doing digital transformation and we're doing AI. Before, we were optimizing the business. Now, in a lot of cases, we are reimagining the business. And you've heard a number of speakers today talking about that, how things are really, really changing. Before, it was partnering with the business. But now, it's really leading the business, because many executives don't really know what AI is. They read and hear about it in the media, but they certainly are not well-versed. Some are, some aren't. Some are getting more well-versed in what it can do and can't do. But, when did it in the past that the CIO or the CTO was leading the business? It didn't happen until really recently. During the pandemic, what were we trying to do? Retaining our staff through the pandemic. Well, now we're focusing on retraining people that are in our organizations to have AI skills. And they talked a lot about the different types of careers that are available and will be growing as this gets more immersed in our companies. I would say pre-AI, we as a CIO, 50% was tactical that we were doing and maybe 50% strategic. That is a stretch, quite frankly. It could be more like 70-30 tactical and 30% strategic, but we're not going to get an argument over percentages. Now, with post-AI, they don't want CIOs and CTOs and technologists focused on what they consider, having electricity, keeping lights on. They want us focused on the strategic part, which is how do you take AI and really re-innovate or reimagine how you're doing what you're doing, and putting not just thought behind it, but pilots behind it, projects behind it, products behind it. Pre-AI, we were grappling with trust in data. I would say post-AI, we're dealing with trust in AI. So, we've heard a number of examples about in the medical field. We're not getting rid of doctors. AI isn't saying this is your test results, go do whatever. They're going to balance with the doctors. So it's how much trust are you actually putting in that? And before, I would say we were very focused on managing our teams. And now I would say we're managing the balance between automation and human contribution. So I think, to me, when I boil it down to, are things radically different? There's a lot of stuff that we still need to do in leadership. But these are the things that I think are changing. And if we're talking about, being a leader and what that looks like, it really is focused on the future. We can learn from the past. It's important. Somebody else said that up here. But how do you want to do things in the future? And it may be radically different than the way we did it in the past. Okay. I have a few statistics I wanted to share with you. AI, we've got about 25% women, okay? Ethnicities, Blacks and Latinos make up less than 2%. Let's see, Latinos was 3.2%, and Asians was about 40%. Very hard to get statistics, but I wanted to give you a feel for what the demographics look like now. And if this thing decides to go, yeah. These are roughly still the same statistics that we have in all of technology. So if you look at the whole, anybody that's in networking or software engineering or whatever, we still have about 25% women. So it's exactly the same. All right. Gender and biases are prevalent in AI systems. Somebody mentioned that up here. Homogeneous teams develop AI algorithms. Just like diversity in physical product development is important, it is, because I was watching the news the other day. There's just example after example. There's a new cart that they're introducing in Target. And I was looking at it to see if it was automated, like in the Amazon Fresh stores, trying to figure out. It's not automated. All they did is they put the cup holder for the baby in the area where the baby sits. And so this mother came out and said, my God, all my baby is just pulling out my, my drinks out of the thing. And she said, did they even consult a mother, with these carts? So I guess everybody will go to Walmart. I don't know. But, the point is, we still have that problem with physical products, but it's now going to exist, and it does exist, in our digital products. And so I'm here partially to make the case here that for AI to really work, we need diversity in our teams more than ever. Because otherwise the data, and I'm not just saying between men and women, I'm just saying everything. Every type of demographic you can think of. People from here, people from India, men, women, different religions, who knows, I mean, that's what makes products really great, when you have all of that input. But if you don't have that in your teams, the output you're going to get from AI is going to be very reminiscent of the people that are training the AI. Make sense? And so I point this out because if it's still existing in the physical world, and you can check that out, that was on the news on Tuesday. Maybe it was before we had the earthquake, I don't know, I was watching that. And then we have it in AI. And with only 25% of the women in AI, less likely to have a woman on your team, but critically important for you to have one or two. Okay, I'm gonna segue a little bit, but if you don't believe me that diversity has an exact impact on the financials of your organization, this is Bloomberg, this isn't me. They said companies with gender-balanced teams have a higher return on equity. There's research after research. I could put quote up after quote up after quote up. But as you're developing your AI models, as you are thinking about how AI can drive your business forward, how AI can enable seniors. I'm doing a lot of work right now with Social Security Administration. It's very hard for seniors to navigate dealing with how their screens look. And I know I have two aging parents, and my father wants nothing to do with he likes a flip phone, and my mother said, this is crazy business, 85 screens just to tell me when I'm gonna get paid. We need to start thinking about that, Would be nice to just talk to it and just say, hello, I'm Senior David, and I want to know how much money I'm getting for my Social Security and when am I getting paid? That's really the majority of what seniors want to know that are in Social Security, right? They don't want to know how the sausage is made. They don't want to know, and unless they're getting less money than they thought, that's what you got to boil it down to that. So how can AI come in and help that whole situation and make it more accessible? Because part of the beauty of AI, in my opinion, is making things accessible to populations that haven't had the opportunity to be accessible. I mean, for people that are vision impaired, what greater thing right now than to be able to talk into something and just say what you need? You know, I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, there are just so many great things about all of this. Okay, gender, didn't I have the slide already? Okay, all right, I'm not losing it. I'm not artificially, you know, maybe I went backwards. Okay, yeah, I went backwards, all right. Leadership traits. I really want to talk about this. Somebody, I don't know who said it up here, but said, you know, lead with, be bold. Be bold, it's important to be bold. This technology is not like, okay, I got this little idea, and I'm just gonna put it in the corner. You know, you all work for your companies. In a lot of cases, you could be a consumer of what your company makes, you know, or partake in it somehow. You all have ideas. You need to speak up and let the companies know or governments know what your ideas are. Not everybody, you know, knows everything, and not every CEO knows everything. Just, you can't. So I'd say lead with boldness and creative ideas. Second thing is take risks. You obviously have to weigh what the risks are, but take risks. Because if you don't, you're never gonna move anything forward. You are never gonna be a change maker in your organization. You'll be viewed as the steady Eddie, won't help your career. And then make decisions that are augmented by AI, data. I will also add intuition and experience. You know, a lot of times you say this is a data world. We need data. We do need data. We do, because we need to look at trends. We certainly need to look at, at facts. But in addition, many of you have a lot of experience and you have intuition. Right now, we can't model intuition in AI models, okay? We haven't figured that part out yet. But there's a lot to be said about intuition. You know, it was interesting. A year and a half ago, I was in Maui when those fires broke out. I was in Lahaina, and we had just literally driven into Lahaina 15 minutes before the thing exploded. And I looked at my daughter, my adult daughter, and I said, something doesn't seem right over here. It was super windy, you know, and she said, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know, but I don't have a good feeling about this. You know, there was a lot of traffic, some of the lights were out, you know, and I just said, we're getting the hell out of here. And then 15 minutes later, you know, what is that? That's pure intuition. I don't know what that is, you know, but you all have it, and that's part of what makes our decision processes what they are. Reskill and upskill the staff, including AI literacy. I think this is really important. There's so many misconceptions about AI, even within your own teams, your own people. Now, not everybody has the luxury of going to school, you know, and having some form of study in the AI area. So if you want to keep your teams giving you new ideas, moving your businesses forward, upskill them. You know, and training is the first thing that companies cut. Training and travel. When things look like they're going south in the economy, first thing that's cut. And I say it should be the last thing that you cut, because those people you want to keep. Those people you want to motivate. Those people you want to train. And emphasize change management and robust communications. I can't tell you enough how many technology projects and products I have seen rolled out where the communication has been poor. And people don't know what's happening, and they don't know why it's happening. And that's the biggest deal of all. So if you're rolling out some AI thing and you have not communicated why the company is doing this, it's going to create a lot of concern. And then you're going to hear a lot of buzz. And then you're going to hear, oh, my job is going to be gone. And I think that's the last thing that anybody wants. You really don't want that. You want the positive press, not the negative press. Okay. All right, this is in addition to all the leadership traits that you already know. So I'm not saying throw out anything that you're doing. I'm saying to do this in addition to what you're doing. So as Abby alluded to, I was the CTO for the city of LA. And this is about 2009. And I went around to the various departments when I was new, and everybody said, I hate the email system. I hate the email system. You know, no matter who I talked to, it was the same thing. And what was it? Many of you will remember this. It was Lotus Notes, which I hated too, right? Okay. I don't know if you also remember, but at that time, the economics of the city of LA were going downhill. And I thought, who is going to give me $40 million or $50 million for an email system? And I think you know which one it would have been. Company that starts with an M, ends with a T. I'm sure you can figure it out. You know, who is going to give me $50 million? You know, I could just see it. You know, Randi Levin decides to spend $50 million for email on the front page of the LA Times. You know, so I thought long and hard about what it is we needed to do here. And I came back one day and I said to my staff, you know what? I think we should do a Gmail or a Yahoo Mail. Nobody had ever done it before. And part of my team just laughed at me. The other part, I think, was just in shock. I don't know. And I said, you all don't know me well enough then. If I say we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And we put together RFPs, put them out. We had $40 or $50 million bids come in, and we had $7.5 million bids coming in. And I'm sure you can figure out what was what. So the LA Times, my dear publication, the LA Times, started writing these articles, you know, that were based on, I mean, you would think we had AI then. They were based on pure fantasy. I would look at them, you know, and going, what the hell are they even talking about? And this is what they're publishing. And so I embarked, you know, the committee voted that we should go on to Gmail. I embarked upon trying to do this project. This project was incorporated so many things that I had never understood would be in a project like this. I had to deal with the Department of Justice. Now, where in your IT manual of system implementation is the Department of Justice? Okay? I ended up having to deal with the FBI and the LA Times, you know, all the media. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, I'm writing a book about this because it was just the most surreal experience. And I thought to myself, the reason I'm doing this is for our business. City of LA is a business, has 44 departments, you know, police, fire, blah, blah, blah. This is the best solution for the business. And plus, we would get all of these other tools now, and they had other use cases, a bazillion use cases and all of that, and I laid all that out. But at the end of the day, I knew that I was doing the right thing. I also knew that I was disrupting an entire industry of on-premise email. And with that came a whole bunch of other things that are in my book, which maybe you want to ask me. But let's put it this way, I was not popular, okay? It was very unpopular from a certain company. But at the end of the day, I stood by my convictions. And I finally invited the LA Times reporter in, and I said, if you're going to write something, at least write it right, you know? So he did, and the subsequent articles were correct. But when I say be bold, I mean it, be bold, because this is now the next wave of things that are going to be disruptive. You know, AI could be viewed as being very disruptive, in addition to being very great and very, very interesting in terms of moving forward in so many areas. So when you think of being a leader, you can think of my story. I share it with you because it was real. And I also share it with you because this is an amazing group of people with amazing ideas. So don't sit there in the corner and not have your ideas. So I think This is the end. Oh, I had what you can do. Yay, okay. Create innovative AI use cases for your business. I'm sure you can think of them. Empower your teams. Reward innovative teams. Hire a diverse workforce. Train your existing staff. Emphasize change management. Because in the AI world, we still are people. Don't forget, people are making this AI. Until AI makes AI, which it'll do at some point, it's still people. It's still you and me, and need to understand what these things are, because your staff may be nervous. And then, again, in addition to all the leadership traits, So with that, I'm here to help you. So, Abby, you have questions for me?
Always, Randy. Well, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives, and now I know what made you a fierce leader. It was very serendipitous when I met Randy when I was the executive underwriter when we were starting the Inspire CIO for Southern California chapter. And that was the first time when I met Randy, and I asked the team, oh, who is that lady? Because she was always there and never hesitated to speak her mind, make sure she is heard. That's what true leadership is all about. Thank you for what all you have been doing, and I know that you have been also kind of helping the White House on some of the technology-related innovations. I do have a couple of questions for you while I look at the time. So in your opinion, will diversity in teams be sufficient to remove the biases? Because we just don't need the diversity in teams, but also the diversity in data, which is very unfortunately more difficult to achieve.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle. It'll get better over time, but we need diverse teams. And I say that for all technologies, not just AI. It's really, really important. Somebody here was the architect. I don't remember who that was, who was up here. Why are they still making stadiums that still have the same number of women's bathrooms as men? Okay, I have no idea. We need more women architects. So you can go example after example of why we need diversity in teams, and it's no different for AI. And it's going to take a while for us to figure out how to remove as much bias as possible.
Wonderful. And one final question. In terms of the leadership in technology, whether it's AI or the new emergent technologies that will intersect with AI, like quantum, what are some of the initiatives that the government is kind of undertaking, or some of the steps that the government is thinking about to have some level of leadership and dominance? Because we know there are certain adversaries who are investing a lot in this emergent technologies and not just AI.
Right. Well, I can tell you that in the defense world, in the cyber world, AI, you've seen it already in the commercial space, but in the government space, it's very big. You may not know all of it, and you won't see all of it, but it's there, and they're using AI extremely actively to identify the foreign adversaries, and some of them because it's been in the media, with anybody that's trying to interfere in our election right now. So I think from that perspective, it's clearly important. The government came out with some, I call them recommendations. You could call them policies on AI. I know the people that have written it. They're pretty smart, but they're also trying to be practical. And I think that, to me, is the most important, is to be practical and not regulate it to the point where we can't innovate, because, everybody loses in that case.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Randy, for your time. And at this juncture, I will request Smita, it would be really nice if a women leader actually hands off the placard to Randy, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, just a sec. I'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
We doing a picture?
Yes.
Oh.